Hello everyone, welcome to the next session of this training. In this session we will be learning about the most important logs and trace files uh, which are used in the startup of ABAP based SAP system, or ABAP and Java based SAP system, we can say. Okay, so let's assume when you are starting an SAP system there is some problem, so the SAP system could not start. Then how are we going to analyze these kind of issues? So this log files which helps you to trace that what is the problem in the SAP system. Okay, that's the reason this is quite important. Let's see the log files which is used in the startup process. So if you see here, the log files are generally saved in the operating system of the SAP. So if for here right now we will be using Windows, yeah, operating system. But if you see in the Unix or operating system or Linux, whichever the operating system you are going to use, these are going to be relatively same. Yeah, so if the why I'm saying is, let's say whenever you install an SAP system, that it will create a home drive. Yeah, the $home means you will have shared uh, you will have two shared folders, that is called home. From there then you will go to SID ADM, like you will follow this path. So it's relatively same in different operating system, the path is going to be same. Okay, so you don't need to be worried which operating system we are talking about. We will use Windows here in order to understand this easier. But if you are using Linux or Unix, then the path is going to be relatively same. Okay, that's not going to be different. Why I'm saying relatively same, this SID and all these things, instance and everything will change depending on your installation. Okay, this we have already seen what is SID and what is instance. So the log file stderr, or we can say till n, okay, 1 2 3 is like this. You will have different numbers. It says 1 2 till m, okay, are created by SAP startup server, that by the startup process which we have seen. When you start that, during the startup process, the meaning to say the process which you are going to start the SAP system, that is the program SAP Start server is going to create this particular files. Okay, so the startup file, the startup process which writes the individual files depending on the sequence, they are listed in the startup profile. We have seen what is the startup profile. Startup profile is used when the SAP system is starting. Okay, so the behavior of the log file is mentioned in the startup profile. And just to recap, the profile we have startup profile, default profile and instant profile. This is a sequence. We will start from the startup profile. So the behavior of this log file is in the startup profile. Okay, this the content in the log file therefore depends on the individual system setup. For example, if you see stder1, this has the information that's to start the database system. Okay, the first one stder1, this have the information to start the process. That means it has the information about the startup process of database system. Okay, you also, now you remember the startup process, yeah, database, then you have message server, then you go to the dispatcher. Then stderr2, which will have the information about the message server. Okay, then it goes to stderr3, which will have the information about the dispatcher. So you have 1 which is database, 2 which is message server, and 3 which is dispatcher. Now the question comes that, are we going to trace this one all the time? Okay, the answer is no. As I said, that you need to define the behavior of this startup in the startup profile. Meaning to say, in the startup profile there is a parameter. The parameter is rdisp/trace. Okay, so there is a parameter like this which you need to define in your startup profile. So when the parameter is set, for example, to 0, if you set to 0, then there is no trace. Okay, in general we set this parameter to 0, there is no trace. Okay, or we can also set to 1. Okay, 1 means, okay, this means no trace or no log. Okay, then we go to the same parameter. When you set to 1, this will have only the error message. Okay, then if you go to the next trace level, we call this trace level, you need to go one by one. Okay, only the error message. If you go to the 2, this will have full trace. Okay, this will have full trace. That means that trace entries depends on, this means it's going to trace the entire activity of the SAP startup. Okay, and let me remind you, this is going to take quite a lot of space in your operating system because these are all raw files. These log files are quite raw files, so you have to be quite careful when you are enabling the trace, meaning to say you can enable 2 because some cases you need to check what is happening in the SAP system. Then enable it. Once you found out what is the error, everything is fine, then change the trace level back to the 0 or 1, whichever you like to keep, so that it's not occupying lot of space. Yeah, once, because if the trace level goes high, your disk space is full, then SAP comes to stand still, where it will be quite difficult for you to identify and bring the system down when the system is live. Okay, then we have one more trace, which is trace level 3. This also trace the data blocks. So we have 4 levels. 0 is no trace, and 1 is only the error message. In general scenario, this error message will give you the actual problems. Yeah, but if you don't know there is that, you want to trace it further down, that error message is not meaningful enough to understand what is the problem, then we can set it to trace 2. Okay, then we have database block. And you can also set the trace for specific work process. For example, you want to trace a specific work process, then also you can set trace for this. For that, you can set the trace on SM50, the transaction code which we have seen. Maybe let's go to our SAP system. Okay, we are in our SAP server. Let's log into SAP. Right now our system is up and running. Okay, let's log into SAP. SAP basis. Okay, now let's go to SM50. So in SM50 you go to process, then I can see trace, and you go to active components. Okay, here you can set the trace. Okay, you can select the trace level and which work process type and what kind of trace you want to do. Okay, generally we don't do this kind of trace in a meaning in general it's quite rare we do this trace until unless we really get into these problems. Yeah, because this dialog trace for the trace process, let's say you have some process which is running, you don't know what is happening within this process, then we set this trace level to see what all this particular process is doing. So it's quite rare we do this kind of tracing, but for us to understand is that there is a possibility you can trace and find out what is happening in this particular process. Yeah, okay, and as well let's see how do we set the trace level. You can go to your home drive, that is USR SAP. Okay, this is the home. Let's say if you go to this, for example this is our server. If you go say run, this is our server name ECC demo. If I say okay, you can see we have two shares. Yeah, this by default when you install the SAP system, the installer will create this shared folders. So if I double click here, it comes to the same drive. Okay, same folder which we have browsed through before. Yeah, same both SAP MNT and SAP log. So we don't need to get confused with this one. In many places or some of the documents they will refer as go to SAP MNT, or they will say okay go to USR SAP, then it's all together we are referring the same drive. Okay, so if you go here, Windows Explorer, go to C drive, we installed it here. Okay, this is the share. Okay, this is shared like that. If you go to properties and you can see sharing, then you can see here SAP log and SAP MNT are two share which is by default which is created. Okay, okay, go to USR SAP and our SID. Okay, that is ECC. Then go to the instance. This is the instance which have DVEBMGS00 means that is a central instance. Double click here. Let's open here. Then if you see here, we have quite a number of folders. We will come to that, some of the folders later. The exe which has basically all the exe files, which is the executable files for SAP. All this server start and stop and everything is here. And work, if you go to work, this work will have the logs. Yeah, the logs which we have discussed about. Okay, I think we missed the other logs. We'll come back to that again. The log which we discussed so far. Okay, stderr0. If you open it, let's open with notepad. This does not have anything because this is a fresh system. Yeah, this is not a live system, so we don't have it, and we did not set any trace level. But in your case it's not going to be the same. Yeah, you may not be starting with a new fresh installed system. Maybe if you are an existing system, this is going to be quite yeah, this is going to be quite big and maybe a little bit messy also. Okay, so trace 00 we don't have anything. Trace 1 is for the database. Here you can see we have something here. Okay, it's did an SQL start. try to run some SQL commands here. You can see v3 start SQL. There's some SQL script. It's trying to start the database, and it started the database. You can see the database is mounted, open, disconnected from Oracle database. It's some old log, yeah, which I don't know when it's created, but it disconnected from Oracle 10G Enterprise Edition, some 60-bit production with the partition OLA data migration operation. So this should have happened some time back, which I don't remember, in a different date maybe. There are some logs there, and 2 also we don't have anything here, and 3, yes, we have something here. Yeah, the startup of each work process. Yeah, just started. Okay, this is about the logs, and let's see the profiles. The profile should be, if you go to the sysid ECC, then you go to sys. Here you have profile. Okay, the profiles which we talked about, the default startup profile and default profile and the instant profile. Each instance have its own profile. So right now we are talking about the startup profile. In the startup profile, this is our startup profile. If you open it with Notepad, you can see here this is a startup profile, and this profile have different versions. Yeah, you can make changes in the profile, and you can assign versions. So whenever you change profile, you need to have new version. Okay, the profile can be changed within SAP system also, and it can and this is saved as a raw file in the operating system. As I said, we will come to this particular profile parameters, how to change all these things, because we need to do quite a lot of work in this profile parameters, meaning to say that quite often you will keep doing some changes in the profile parameters. This have quite big impact as well, so we need to understand this quite clearly. We will come back to that later sections. Now, since we talked about the profile, I'm trying to show what is profiles. So this is kept in the operating system level as well as in the inside SAP. Okay, here this is a startup profile. These are all the profile parameters. You can see there is program something, then we set the profile parameters what we have discussed, yeah, this parameters what we have discussed into this file. Okay, then we will enter it here, then the tracing will start. Okay, now let's go back to our presentation. Next, let's see how to analyze the trace files. So far what we know is how to set up the trace file, how to analyze, how to set up the trace files, and where to find the trace files. Now, analyzing the trace file also quite important. What information to look where? Before that, we skipped something here. That's another trace files. We have couple of trace files in the folder which we have seen. We have seen quite many trace files. Yeah. The second one is SAP Start, then number. This trace file traces the program for SAP starts. Okay, and we have SAP Start Log, and this is the trace file which logs the specific SAP Start program logs. Okay, then this is this is the trace file for message server, this is the trace file for dispatcher, and this is the trace file for the work process which we have seen how to enable it. Okay, and we have many trace files. Now you may be a little bit confused which trace file I will look for. Okay, you always start here. How do we know which trace file now we need to look? we know now in work process, if you enable, we need to look into the work process trace file. Yeah, when we go to SM50, that's what we've seen. When you enable there, then you need to go to the specific work process trace file, and you can go and check it there. The other ones, like when you open a trace, then you can see it will refer back and forth. If you work in Oracle, they also somehow do little bit like this, that you go back and forth and say, okay, this specific error message, then you can from here they will say refer to the SAP Start log, where you can find this more detail about this information. Then you go to start log, then you'll find the more detail there. Then if something is related to message server, then it will be referred to message server. It's like this. And you can also see sometime in the error messages inside the SAP, when you start, then you can see, okay, you refer this particular log file, then you go to that specific log files. Yeah, so the idea behind here is that we need to know where to look for. And in my view, that it is not really possible for everybody to remember each and every trace file and each and every transaction code. In my view, let's say if you know what is available, how to look for it, then that should be enough. So when that situation comes, you know what role is available and where we can look for it, because this kind of situation will not come in daily operations. Yeah, that is the normal way it works. So whenever you get into a problem, then only you go to all these trace files, then you need to know where to look for it and what kind of traces are available. Okay, now let's see how to analyze the trace files. If you see here, we have three different type of trace files. Okay, first one is operating system trace files, where the error log file is in the operating system. Okay, and we have another trace file which is in the database. This is for the error log files of database. Then we do another trace which is for the instance. Okay, that is the SAP trace files, SAP trace files, and SAP system log. We have three different kind of traces. Okay, trace files. The first one is operating system, which saves the errors related to the operating system, which you know already. We will not get into more detail about operating system. Let's say Windows related error messages and stuff like this, which you can see. And this trace also you can find it in many a times in your MMC console, which when we went to the SAP Start MMC console, you have seen the logs. Yeah, let's go back here. What MMC console? Yeah, this is system logs. Yeah, you have different system logs. You can also see some errors here, okay, and some warnings and all this. And this is a system logs which is coming from your OS. Yeah, we can which is from the OS. And also we have the database logs files, which we have also seen in our trace log. Also you will have log file within Oracle itself, within the database which you are using. Yeah, there also we have trace files, and we have SAP instance files. Yeah, specific instances, which is for example for our message server for dev_ms. Yeah, dev_ms. Same like this for gateway, there is something called dev_rd, and we have for dispatcher and the work process. So we have different kind of trace files. Yeah, three different kind of trace files for the operating system and the database and for SAP. Okay, and on top of all these things, inside SAP also you can check the logs. So if you when we go more deeper into SAP, if you see in SAP that you really do not need to get into operating system and database when you are really working in SAP environment. So whatever is available in the operating system, or whatever you would like to do in basis, you can really do it from inside SAP. So you need to know from where to look for. Yeah, inside SAP also you can do almost everything. Okay, so let's go to SAP and see where to look this information within SAP. So you go to transaction SM21. Okay, the next we will look into Java logs, how we can check the Java logs and what are all the another monitoring tools available for Java. Okay, for example, for Java log files, you have dev underscore jstart. There's a log file for Java starting, and the dev underscore bootstrap for bootstrap of framework log, then gvm for Java virtual machine, and dv underscore jcontrol. This is quite important ones, and these files also available in the same directory which we have seen. Yeah, the what do you call this, work directory, in the same file, the same directory which we have seen, the work directory, same log files, and where we have ABAP based logs also in the same, this also in the same location. The next one is dev underscore jcontrol. uh, this log file is quite important, which has all this Java control process. The most important trace file we can say in the NetWeaver application server for Java. And then we have dv underscore dispatcher. This is the dispatcher trace file, and yeah, for this is for the JVM dispatcher. And we have this std server 0. This is also quite important. This is an output uh, server process, which also have quite a lot of informations here. Okay, and we have also this availability log, which gives you the logs of availability of the system. Yeah, this is start and end of the our SAP system. This is quite important and interesting files. When you wanted to check the availability of the system, then you can refer this available.log. Okay, on apart from this log files, you have Java monitor. If for example we already know how to monitor little bit about our SAP server, ABAP server I mean. So if you want to monitor the Java server, we have a monitoring tool which is called jcmon. You can run this one. Let's go to our system, server OS. Let's say right now we are using SAP as well as everything in the same server. This is on a VMware. So we installed the SAP GUI in the same server itself, so that you don't need to switch it back and forth. Yeah. Okay, so we are looking for the jcmon. This is also available in the exe folder, where you have all the exes. ADM, it should be here. Here jcmon. Okay, if you go to your C drive, let's go to cd user or usr sap cds, sorry. Okay, we have JSON and Java control. This Java control is to control the Java stack, and you can also do this Java launcher. It's quite interesting tools. Let's see JSON. Okay, this is the syntax for JSON. This is start the Java monitoring control program. JSON pfs equal to profile for the specific instance which you wanted to monitor. Yeah, in our system we have only one. Let's just say JSON. Then you can see the status of the JSON. This is a kernel version which is running on NT 64-bit Unicode, and yeah, compile time. This was the last time it was compiled. So this is how to monitor the Java. Yeah, so at the moment this Java is active. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, this is which we have already seen, where the profile parameters are there, and our Java profile also will be here. If you see here, this SCS01, this is for the Java profile. If you go to our system works, sorry, this profile. Okay, this is the ABAP profile. This is the instant profile we are talking about. Yeah, it's not the startup or default. Okay, this is instant profile. If you open it here, let's say this ABAP profile which we are opening now, this is the ABAP profile. We have quite a lot of parameters here, and this is the Java related profile, Java instance profile. Okay, and you also see some parameters inside the ABAP which is related to Java as well. Yeah, which is for the application Java. So this is basically the instant profile for only related to Java server. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, with this we are coming to the end of this session. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.